just sneezed and flew 10 feet in the air.
Really? It fell higher than that.
Now that Avatar: The Last Airbender is #1 on Netflix, we're excited to welcome tons of new fans to the franchise, myself included, admittedly. Whether you're a longtime viewer or new to the series, let's take a look at what happened from the early days of Avatar Aang to the controversial Legend of Korra ending. There might be 4 nations at play here, but there's a ton of history between them, so let's go ahead and dive right into it. Even if you've never seen the show, you probably know that Avatar: The Last Airbender tells the story of the Avatar Aang and his quest to master the elements and restore balance. But in the interest of being thorough, our story starts way before Aang was even born. In this fictional universe, the years are denoted by the terms BG, which indicates the years before Lord Sozin kicked off the 100-Year War, and AG, which take place after the beginning of the 100-Year War. If you're not familiar with the show, that probably doesn't make a ton of sense yet, but trust me, it will. Around 19,829 BG, 2 spirits took the form of koi fish and joined the mortal world. Tui is the moon spirit, while La is the ocean spirit. And you can probably guess by the fact that they resemble a yin-yang symbol, they're responsible for maintaining balance. And the spirit oasis these two called home became an important spiritual landmark. Tui and La are among the first spirits to call the mortal world home, but they weren't the only ones. There's the incredibly powerful Mother of Faces, who, well, crafts faces. During this time period, she gave birth to her son Ko, the face stealer. And unsurprisingly, they eventually became estranged from one another due to some severe ideological differences about what exactly to do with faces. The dark and chaotic spirit Vaatu broke through the barrier of the spirit and human worlds, allowing travel between the realms. 19,829 BG to 9,829 BG is known as the Era of Rava, named after a kindly spirit of life and peace who battled with her counterpart Vaatu. This was the first instance of a harmonic convergence, which is when the planets align and spirit energy gets a serious boost. Around the year 9,850, humans got around to constructing cities to keep themselves safe from all the spirits flying around. They used lion turtle shells to build their cities, and when they ventured into the wilds for food, the lion turtles would grant them the ability to control one of the elements. As human societies evolved, they gradually lost contact with one another and developed their own customs, rules, and way of life. This year also marked the birth of Wan, who would later become the first Avatar. Years later, in 9,832, Wan was banished into the spirit wilds, but it turned out to be more of a blessing than a punishment. He made friends with the spirits and learned how to firebend, and 2 short years later he unleashed chaos upon the world by severing the link between Rava and Vaatu. Whoops, that wasn't exactly an ideal situation. But Wan and Rava wanted to make things right by mastering the other elements and restoring harmony to the land. In 9,829, the second harmonic convergence took place, bonding Wan and Rava into one being and making him the first Avatar. Wan locked Vaatu in the Tree of Time, ordered the spirits to leave, and sealed up the border between the realms. Since it seemed like Wan had things under control, the lion turtles checked out and stopped granting humans any more cool bending powers. Over the years, humans fought with one another, new avatars were born, and eventually society settled into 4 nations, each associated with an element and home to certain people capable of bending said element. There was the Water Tribes, the Earth Kingdom, the Air Nomads, and the Fire Nation. Now let's skip ahead a little bit until we get to the birth of our boy, Avatar Aang, who was born in 12 BG, the year of the dragon. Aang's airbending career was off to a solid start, and he became the youngest airbender to receive his tattoos around 1 BG. But after he was confirmed as Avatar at the age of 12, things took a turn, since that happened in the year 0 AG. The monks who trained Aang were worried about war, and Aang was so scared that he fled on his flying bison, Appa, and ended up getting caught in a storm and frozen in ice near the South Pole. Since Aang was still alive, a new avatar couldn't be born, and with Aang defenseless, Fire Lord Sozin launched an attack on the other nations utilizing a comet and decimating the Air Nomads in an attempt to defeat Aang, not realizing that he was safely encased in a layer of ice. As you can probably guess, the Fire Nation wasn't done causing trouble, not by a long shot, hence the whole 100-year war thing. In the year 97 AG, Prince Zuko, the son of Fire Lord Ozai, was banished due to alleged insubordination and sent to capture Avatar Aang. His father scarred his face and exiled him, and pretty much assumed that he was gone for good. But Zuko was determined to earn back his honor and birthright. In 99 AG, Aang was awakened by Katara and her brother Sokka of the Water Tribe, and Zuko, the Fire Nation, started trying to destroy the young Avatar. Meanwhile, Aang, with the help of his friends, needed to master the elements, fighting back against the Fire Nation and restore peace and balance to the land. This is really where the series kicks off, with the nations in total turmoil and Aang feeling at least partially responsible for the situation. Avatar: The Last Airbender consists of 3 seasons that cover about a year's worth of time. Katara and Sokka brought Aang to the Northern Water Tribe so that he could learn the art of water bending and work to fight against the Fire Nation, while Zuko and his uncle Iroh tried to bring him down. Zhao of the Fire Nation destroyed the moon spirit Tui, which forced the Water Tribe's princess to sacrifice herself to replace it and maintain the precarious balance of Tui and La. Meanwhile, Aang managed to drive off Zhao's navy, and in the following season he learned the art of earthbending from the very talented Toph Beifong. Aang and his companions tried to obtain the support of the Earth Kingdom to fight against the Fire Nation during a solar eclipse, when the Firebenders would be at their weakest. But unfortunately, the city fell under the Fire Nation's control, thanks to the effort of Zuko's sister, Azula. In the 3rd season, Aang refused to let a good solar eclipse go to waste, and he tried to invade the capital, albeit without much success. But he did win a major victory when Zuko defects and agrees to teach him firebending. With his help, Aang is finally able to overcome Ozai and end the war, while Zuko is crowned Lord of the Fire Nation, which brings us to the end of Avatar: The Last Airbender. We learned more about what happened next in the Avatar comics, which take place a few years after the series ended. Republic City became a massive metropolis, and Yu Dao is filled with folks from the Fire and Earth Nations living together. Zuko reigns over the Fire Nation and discovers his mother Ursa, who had gone missing when he was young. Humanity advanced, cities swelled, and Aang and Katara started a family together. But of course, there was plenty of turmoil during this time as well. 40 years before the beginning of the Legend of Korra, a waterbender named Yakone got way too used to bloodbending in Republic City. He could use these powers to control others, which meant that Aang had to track him down and permanently strip him of his powers. Aang overall lived a pretty good life before passing away in 153 AG, the year Avatar Korra was born in the Southern Water Tribe. The Legend of Korra takes place 70 years after the events of the first series, and shows Korra's journey as the new Avatar, and establishes a lot of the world building and history that I talked about earlier. Like Aang before her, it's up to Korra to maintain balance on the planet, but unlike her predecessor, she has to do it in an increasingly more modern world. Since the Air Nomads were basically wiped out during the war, she learns the art of airbending from Aang's son, Tenzin, and makes the acquaintances of future industries heiress Asami Sato. They're forced to deal with the anti-bending revolution, and Korra loses her powers before having them restored by the spirit of Aang, thus allowing her to repay the favor to other victims. 6 months later, Korra is fighting dark spirits and dealing with a civil war within the Water Tribes. That's when she loses her link to previous avatars, but she is able to defeat Vaatu and save Rava. Korra also decides to leave the spirit portals open so that humans and spirits can coexist once again. With all that settled, Korra experiences a harmonic convergence, which leaves non-bending folks from the Earth Kingdom with airbending powers. She and her allies want to re-establish the Air Nomads, but have to worry about their enemies and the loss of the Earth Queen and the resulting chaos. Seriously, an Avatar's job is basically never done. The insidious Zahir takes the Air Nomads hostage in order to manipulate Korra, with the goal of returning the world to a more chaotic state. Thankfully, he's defeated with some help from Aang's granddaughter, Jinora, but not before Korra is seriously injured. 3 years later, Korra is recovering both mentally and physically from the conflict with Zahir. It takes a lot to reconnect with her Avatar spirit, but Korra's no quitter. When Republic City is attacked, Korra and her friends fight back, and eventually a good chunk of the city is destroyed, but a democracy is established in the Earth Kingdom, and Korra and Azami head off for a well-deserved vacation in the spirit world. Some fans consider the fact that Korra and Azami were in a relationship to be a bit controversial, while others were upset that the two heroes didn't get to share a kiss like Aang and Katara did at the end of Avatar: The Last Airbender. But regardless, Korra's story changed the world of Avatar for good, And that's where the series ends. There are plenty of awesome on-screen moments to pick from, but what's your favorite moment from either Avatar: The Last Airbender or Legend of Korra? Share your top choice with us and your fellow fans in the comment section below, and then click subscribe for more great content from us here at Screen Rant. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there.